Yeah. So really quickly, this is a bit of a side note, just to have a bit of fun with this slide, okay? Because we were talking about cultural continuity. You brought up hairstyles earlier, okay? Another cultural continuity that you might find in the 18th dynasty is this, the war crown. Okay, that's the name that Egyptology has affectionately given it, because it's the crown that's worn by Tutankhamun when he's chasing Nubians or chasing Syrians. Okay, when he's chasing Nubians, he's chasing Syrians, he's wearing the war crown. Ramesses is wearing the war crown when he's chasing the same populations out. And so, because they associate it with war, they call it the war crown. Now, the actual name of the crown is called the Khepresh. Okay. Now, the word Khepresh comes from this creature here, which you might have seen in ancient Egypt. They love this creature. Okay, it's called the Scarab. Okay, or at least that's what people know it as, the Scarab. You might have seen it in Aladdin. You put it together and then it goes and makes the hills. I watched Disney films. So anyway, yeah. But it's called the Scarab. The Scarab in ancient Egypt is called the Kheper. Okay, so that's Khpr, or depending on your pronunciation, it might be Gpr. And I know there's some African languages that have a similar word, like Geber or something like that. So it comes from Kheper. Okay, that was the ancient Egyptian word. Okay. Now the Kheper is the dung beetle, and the reason that's significant, a lot of people don't know that. So that scarab that you see, that's the dung beetle. So that's the beetle that pushes around cows doing all day. Why is that significant? Because you have to understand what the ancient Egyptians' perspective of this creature was, otherwise you miss something that's really key. In ancient Egyptian ideology or mythology, whatever you want to call it, the reason this was sacred is because within the ball, not only, obviously modern science will tell you that it kind of feeds off the ball and it lives and that's where it gets all its nutrients, but the ancient Egyptian belief was that the seed of the Kheper existed in the middle of the ball, okay? And that seed was its offspring. And it was probably one of the only animals that was able to, on its own, raise an entire brood of young. So it would push around. So this is like seen in ancient Egypt as a mobile womb. So this is like the womb, it's a mobile womb. It pushes it about, it guards it, it protects it. The Khepresh was shaped after the Kheper. Okay, that's why it gets its name, Khepresh. It's shaped after the Kheper. Okay, so actually it's supposed from the front, looks like the hind part of a dung beetle. Okay? And this practice was continued by this is a Rwandan noble, and this picture was taken in the early 20th century of a Rwandan noble. This practice was continued in East Africa by the nobles right up until colonialism essentially killed all of our monarchies. And the reason that's significant is because the Rwandan monarchies as well is one of the only, in fact the only monarchy that had a lineage that they could trace back to ancient Egypt. So if you look at the Rwandan king list, and it's still available, so look it up online if you want to, it traces back, and when it gets right back to the oldest, one of their rulers is called Rumeza II, who they believe is Ramesses, and they have another ruler called Musindi, who they believe is Seti I. Okay? And these are traced back, ruler to ruler, they trace that lineage all the way back to ancient Egypt. Okay? And it's not, to me, it's not a coincidence then that they have picked up this new kingdom trend. So the Khepresh was a crown that's formed in the new kingdom. So from like the 18th dynasty onwards, Amenhotep III was one of the first to wear it. Ramesses wore it all the time. And the Rwandan dynasties wore it. I'll throw in something else for free as well about this crown. This Hathor, who we associate with the cow. So if you heard of Hathor, by the way, she's like she's an ancient Egyptian goddess, they call her, or a Netta, as they're called in ancient Egypt. And she's associated with the cow because they've always believed that these were horns and that was Ra, the sun. However, if you understand the cultural continuity that I'm expressing here, I don't believe these were horns. These were much more likely to be the hind legs of the Kheper. So if you notice, just to point that out, you notice they go around and then straight. Okay, so you go around and then straight. Every time Hathor is depicted, Not in duplication, because in duplications they try and make it look like horns because they think it's horns. But if you actually see real statues of Hathor, you'll always get round and then straight. So that's your hind legs of the Kheper, and that is the ball of thumb. And based on what I've just said there and what I explained there, what do you think she was the goddess of?
Fertility.
Okay. So you have Hathor, the goddess of fertility, with the young on her head. And whenever ancient Egyptian queens were pregnant, they joined Hathor, or the house of Heru. That's what it stands for, Heru. Hathor is Heru, which means house of Heru. Okay, they joined this house, and they were depicted in this manner, which likely depicted the fact that they were pregnant. So that's Hathor, and I just showed you here, this is the ancient Egyptian cow, and this is what their cows look like. Okay, the horns you can see are different. And by the way, whenever you see this depicted, it's always going to be brown. It's never depicted. They'll show you in pictures that it's red, it's yellow, it's never depicted red, and it's always brown. But they don't realize that it's linked to that tradition. You have to understand Africa to understand the tradition. If you don't understand Africa, then you miss things like that. So I just threw that in as a bit of a side note because Amenhotep III was always wearing the Kheper. So